The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and it's Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you, and there's a ton of action figure news this week from a lot of different toy lines. On this Memorial Day weekend, shout out to everybody celebrating Memorial Day, everybody that's lucky enough to get hopefully 3 days off in a row. Oh, you lucky devils out there. But it should be a nice weekend, at least in my part of the world, a nice warm weekend. Good jeeping weather, as one may say. We'll see what happens this weekend. But let's dive into the news. But before we get into the news, of course, we got a little bit of housekeeping going on. And first off, don't forget about Patreon. We're at the end of May. Last chance to enter. Be a member, get a part of the giveaway. And this month's giveaway is the ultimate giveaway with the Ultimate Warrior Ultimate Edition. We're giving this away to Patreon members for the month of May. So check that out. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters over there. Tons of stuff on Patreon, tons of early videos. I think about 200 early videos on Patreon. Just absolutely crazy, and a lot of exclusive videos as well. Just filmed a Q&A from beautiful Minnetonka, Minnesota. Gave a few secrets in that Q&A video this month. Also talked about trying to go to Greg Gagne's house and him saying, nope, you're against Powertown. I said, I'm not against Powertown. I'm the champion of Powertown. I think at the end of the day, it's just a straight-up conspiracy.
No, this didn't happen. No.
Hey, you're right, Jesse. There's no conspiracy. If I was Greg Gagne, I wouldn't let anybody in my house either. But anyways, that's neither here or there. Of course, a few other housekeeping things. We're dangerously close to 30,000 subscribers to this very YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Let's get after that. And I will have a pretty good giveaway for 30,000 subscribers. We'll talk about that when we get a little bit closer to that. So stay tuned. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Pro Wrestling Tees this weekend, 25% off everything in the store. If you haven't got a shirt yet, man, what are you waiting for? Get after that. Search Kyle Peterson Pro Wrestling Tees. And if you're not going to buy my shirt, it's up to you. You better be buying a Terry Funk shirt. Terry Funk shirt's 25% off this weekend as well. So there's a little housekeeping action. Now let's get into the toy news of the week. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of news in last week's video. If you guys missed out on that, we'll recover and have some updates on a few things in this week's video. But let's dive into it. First thing, this leaked, I think it was last Saturday night. A little bit of a leaked lineups for Mattel. Now, are these going to be true? I guess time will tell, but there's a few leaked lineups out there. Elite 105 was leaked. It looks like Braun Strowman has returned to the Elite line. Are you ready for more Braun Strowman figures? You can still find old Braun Strowman figures out on the shelves in some stores currently, so it'll be interesting how new Braun starts selling. I have to imagine this will be Braun Strowman in his famous red pants. Oh, everybody loves Braun in his red pants. Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump himself. What era? We'll find out, I guess. Scott Steiner. Johnny Gargano coming back to the Elite line. Dominic Mysterio going to be a very popular one. His old Elite and his old Basic, man, those are two of the most popular figures probably of last year. Got to think this will have the same fate. It's not Camelo, but it is Carmelo Hayes, NXT champion right now. Another very popular performer. And then Io Sky finally getting her first Elite. Of course, she did get a Basic back in the day. So that's Elite 05, as expected. November 2023 time frame. We saw Showdown Series 15, another leaked list here. Roman Reigns and Logan Paul. Logan Paul Basic. I guess if you missed out on the Ultimate, here is your chance. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, assuming a throwback, I would have to imagine, a throwback pack. We'll see what that is from. And then AJ Styles, Kevin Owens will be in there. Basic 141, Brock Lesnar. Going to be interesting. What kind of Brock Lesnar do we get? Do we get a Cowboy Brock Lesnar in the basic form? It'll be interesting to see that. The Rock, Bianca Belair, and then here it is, old LA Knight finally getting a figure. And like they do a lot of times with Mattel, they give us a lot of figures first in the basic. They'll give us a chase. Going to make people that like Elite say, oh, well, I love LA Knight. I want his first time in the line. And then down the road, they're going to come out with an Elite of him. So that's a pattern we've seen from the last couple years from Mattel. A smart business pattern, if you ask me. And then Seth Rollins, always in there at a regular clip, I'm sure. And we're seeing Basic 140 expected in September. Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Ciampa. I got to think he's coming back to TV fairly soon. Ronda Rousey and then Cody Rhodes once again. So another basic lineup. That's 140. Elite Series, Greatest Hits Series 3, I should say. The Rock is Scorpion King. Roddy Piper is John Nada. 2 of the Walmart exclusives. A lot of people missed out on that Rock. And the Roddy Piper was so-so. You can still find that if you look hard enough. Have to imagine these will be upgraded with the pinless joints. Not sure what to think about that. The Rock one, of course, I think is a definite warrant of this because so many people missed out on it. Roddy Piper, it seems too new to me. I guess you guys let me know your thoughts on that. Brutus Beefcake, what Brutus could it be? I'm hoping it's the old school Elite one, Brutus the Barber. I hope it is not the more recent Legends Target exclusive. My gut tells me that's going to be the one it is, unfortunately, there. Seth Rollins, really could be any Seth Rollins over the years. R-Truth, they could go way back in the day. Of course, R-Truth had a lot of Elites back in the day. We could see one of those re-released. Bray Wyatt, a bit of a head-scratcher here. Not sure what Bray Wyatt figure that could be. I hope it's not that Elite. Was it 84, 87, 83, something like that, Bray Wyatt? Nobody wants that to return. Nobody wants that figure returning. So it'll be interesting to see where that one ends up going. Earthquake and Typhoon, that it was strongly rumored a couple of weeks ago. It had been talked about. Sounds like it's going to be the Then Now Forever Walmart exclusives re-released. That does make some sense as well. It's an interesting lineup with these greatest hits, and cheap plug, I guess, I've been unboxing the new greatest hits wave on the channel this week. A lot of good discussion in those videos, the reasons why and what the figures were in the past that make them candidates for reissues, I guess we'll call it. So we do have that one there. And then, of course, I talked about it about a month ago. Entertainment Earth did leak some lineups early, and it sounds like the Ultimate Warrior Ultimate Edition Series 1 and the Stone Cold Steve Austin Ultimate Edition, those are going to be in the Greatest Hits Ultimate re-releases. So beware of that in the future as well. So a lot of Mattel stuff coming. I got to think we'll see and hear a lot more about this stuff at San Diego Comic-Con here. About 2 months away, a little less than 2 months away. So much more to come on that front very soon. Last week, there had been a lot of hubbub, a lot of discussion about it. I did believe to see the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. The leak was out there. I don't want to spoil the leak. I don't want to spoil it for people. I'm sure it's out there from more than just me now, I have heard. So it is out there, and I think people are saying what it is. I'm not going to say what it is yet. I did give some clues out there. There's a lot of crossover appeal with this one, and that my 96-year-old grandpa is not a fan of this guy at all. If he was collecting action figures, he wouldn't want anything to do with this guy. I'll tell you that much. I didn't say guy, so it's not a girl. How about that? There's the extra clue for the week this week. But I'm sure it'll be out there fairly soon. I think it's going to be released out there. Somebody's going to spill the beans, I have to imagine. So I guess it'll be interesting to talk about it. Once it's out there a little bit more, we'll talk about it as we usually do. And of course, we're going to review it at the table when that time comes. I just won't tell my grandpa about it. Yeah, Grandpa, turn that video off. And my grandpa doesn't even know what YouTube is. So we'll go with that. But anyways, that's San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. AEW bringing the news this week as I am filming this, of course, on Fridays for release on Saturday. Well, Saturday is going to be the AEW Jazzwares Fan Fest. They're going to have a whole bunch of reveals, supposedly. We'll see what happens there. I have to imagine that Jade Cargill figure will be the shop exclusive, AEW shop, AEW pay-per-view exclusive, as they did skip the last one, I believe. But we've seen images of that, and that is what leads us to believe that Jade Cargill will be the exclusive. We'll see what happens with that. But they are going to do reveals. Now, I will probably do a separate reveal video for AEW figures. Stay tuned to that. Like usual, subscribe to the channel. We'll talk more about that, what is released, what is announced, if anything good is announced. So if it warrants a video, we'll do one. Stay tuned for that. But then Jeremy Padawer came out this week, and he has been so quiet on the AEW front. It's been eerily quiet on that front. But he did announce that there's going to be all kinds of new figures this summer. Now, when he says new figures, I think it's like the set we just did, Unrivaled Series 12. We just did that on the channel. I think when he says new figures, that's the new figures that are going to be out there. Maybe the Supremes will start hitting in a more regular rotation. Maybe we'll see the Last Unmatched series. We'll see stuff that has already been kind of out through ringside, finally out to retail. And what he said is the peg warmers, they're going bye-bye. Rio, are you kidding me? So hard to say goodbye. If there was ever a conspiracy, this is it.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
Yes, he's exactly right. I hope they do announce a Rio in the blue attire with the big steel pipe. I hope that is a new figure because it sounds like the Rio figures of the world are going to be going bye-bye Goodbye Anna Jay, Nyla Rose, Santana Ortiz, some of the old Young Buck figures, some of the perennial peg warmers are going to disappear from the shelves, is what Jeremy said. And that leads me to believe, my years of working with Target and Walmart and discontinued items, things like that, they are going to change a new UPC, a new item code number, something like that, so Walmart and Target can know the difference between the products, and all that old product will be labeled for clearance or possible salvage, where they'll give it to the dirt cheaps of the world, the Goodwills, the Rosses, something like that. So that should clear the pegs. I would have to imagine that's probably for the August reset time frame. They do a lot of refreshes throughout the year, but I think August is probably the next big reset. I'd have to check my math on that one, but have to imagine that's going to be the plan here. It can't hurt to get those. Obviously, Rio, as much as I love her, I mean, she's been on the pegs for 3 years now at a lot of my local stores. I am going to miss her. It was a lot of fun on the toy hunts. It's always kind of something to keep me, because you guys know, if you hit a lot of stores, there's a lot of heartache and disappointment. You got to have some fun along the way. You got to say hi to the Landos, hello to the Rios of the world. And that's going to be gone here very shortly. But you know what? When one peg warmer goes away, there's always one to follow. So we'll see who our next crown jewel is. And hopefully, Jazzwares announces a new Rio figure and we can just start the cycle all over again. We've seen it multiple times with the Lando cycle. It's time to do the Rio cycle. So fingers crossed on that. More to come. Like I said, probably a separate video. It'll be interesting to see AEW's plan, or I should say more like Jazzwares' plans for AEW figures. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future, because I got to say, they had a lot of hype, a lot of love behind them. It really does feel to be waning. We'll see. How can they turn that ship? How can they right that ship around? Going to be an interesting AEW Jazzwares back half of 2023. And over to some other toy news this week. How about the Major Bendy's line and the Big Rubber Guys? Now, I'm all for people that love their Bendies. I've said it before. Bendies really didn't change my life, but Big Rubber Guys changed my life. There's no doubt about that. I'm all in on the Big Rubber Guys. And of course, Matt and Brian's figures went on sale Friday to the general public. $50 a pop. I know some people love their LJN-inspired figures. Some people don't. That's kind of the beauty of the hobby. You pass on what you don't want. You pick up what you like. I'm all in. I'm going to pick these two up. But of course, this week officially announced was Demolition in the Big Rubber Guys. Give me, you guys know, face paint, masked, big wrestlers, little wrestlers, beautiful tattoos, man. Sign me up all day long. Sign me up for these. Demolition is going to be a game changer. Can't wait to have these. Can't wait to see what else happens in this line. There's so many holes that can be filled in the old school LJN line. If we can get a Barbarian to join our Warlord, things like that. But then there's new guys, there's new characters, new wrestlers we'd love to see in that style. I think this is going to be their biggest line when things are all said and done. It'll be interesting. The price point, of course, bigger figure, bigger molds, bigger everything, and with bigger everything comes bigger price. So $50 a piece is more expensive than a Bendy, but we're going to see how that goes. But man, I'm rooting on all the wrestling toy lines. I want everyone to succeed because I love wrestling figures. The more varied wrestling figures we get, the more we get for somebody for everything is a good thing, and I am here for these. Got very high expectations. Can't wait to have these in hand fairly soon for the Matt and Brian. It feels like they should be here sometime in June. Perfect for my birthday. We'll see what happens with those, but I'm very excited about that. We'll see what happens. And then I love the quick turnaround, too. You order, and about a month later, they come to you. We've talked about it a lot of times. A lot of these companies are not doing that. I am very, very happy that that's what the Major Pod Group is willing to do and doing out there, because I love getting my figures fairly soon. It just sucks when you got to wait 12 to 14 months, or longer in some cases, to get our figures. And that's a conspiracy in itself.
Oh, this didn't happen. No.
Here because I started this.
Are you kidding me?
And we've talked about that many, many times on the channel. But continuing on, MLW Boss Fight Studios. We mentioned Boss Fight last week. They should have that next set of their basic style wrestling figures. Really should be hitting any time now. Haven't heard an update of any kind. MLW figures, a lot of people after my video last week said, well, what about those? I said, well, I think those were always earmarked for fall of 2023. So they're on the clock, but they're not overdue at this point. So the MLW figures still hopefully on pace. I am here for those. But they did announce a little belt rack for all their belts. A nice little holder there. A really cool way to display some stuff. So I like that. It is something different. So I wanted to show that off and talk about that a little bit this week. But then speaking of conspiracies,
I wonder if they're watching your every move. Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it. Post your...
Speaking of conspiracies, what about the Impact figures? Yes, Impact Wrestling, of course, formerly going to be Cella Toys figures, then Epic Toys. It just gets a little bit convoluted, as we do know, a little bit confusing. But we talked about it last week. Where are the Impact figures? As I pre-ordered those, and a lot of you guys and gals did as well, and those were supposed to ship mid to late May. Well, we're past late May at this point. They are not coming in. And I did get a little bit of message spurring off that video with a little bit of an update, and they are still saying end of summer. And you know what Jerry Reed always says? And I am hopeful they do hit us the end of summer, but we'll see what happens. We know how it goes with factory shipping, all kinds of stuff like that, but there is a delay. I hope the Impact website, they put up that delay, because not everybody watches videos, not everybody is in tune with this kind of stuff, and there's probably a lot of people that buy the figures, they're like scratching their head, I thought I was supposed to have this by now. So we'll see what happens there. And of course, Power Town, the OG conspiracy, the conspiracy that started it all. No update yet. I would assume if things fall in place that we will get an update 1st of June. They've been pretty good, I think, the last couple of months about sending an update at the 1st of the month. So I am hoping, they said these were going to be shipping right now, so I'm hoping that first week of June we should get our tracking notices and all kinds of stuff. I can't wait to dive into these figures with a little bit more detail than what I got to do a couple weeks ago. So fingers crossed we get some Power Town, and maybe with that, the announcement finally of the Remcos, maybe finally the announcement of Power Town Series 2. Would love to see who's earmarked for that set. Give me the fabulous Rougeau brothers. Give me Dino Bravo. Give me some of these guys. I hope we see some of these things from Power Town. So Power Town's still on the clock. They're in overtime at this point, but I am hopeful that we get to see these Power Town figures very early June. Fingers crossed. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll talk all about it as we usually do. Now we turn our attention to the retro figures of the week this week, and there's a lot going on. KWK, they did show off a little bit more Yoshi Tatsu, all the different variants, chases, things like that. We saw some pre-production samples, a lot going into the old Yoshi Tatsu, a worldwide release if there ever was one. Of course, Yoshi known throughout the world and more popular in Japan, things like that, of course. So that's going to be a big one for that market. And that's one thing we always got to take that step back. A lot of people say, well, who wanted Yoshi Tatsu? Well, you got to remember it's a worldwide market for some things. Some things that don't sell in America sell better in Japan and vice versa. That's kind of the way those things do end up going. But Yoshi Tatsu looks pretty good. It looks like an interesting head sculpt on him, as we did say before. He's ready for business in more ways than one. But we do got Yoshi coming very, very soon. We did see Rush Collectibles. We've talked a little bit of their monster line the last couple of weeks. We got Cthulhu this week, a big, beefy one. Man, I really want to collect this line. I'm still on the fence, though. I mean, you can only get so much stuff. You guys know that. So I don't know. I'd really like to get those, but we'll have to see what happens. We'll wait and see. The wait-and-see approach is what we're doing on that one. We did see Hastel Toys. He did show some of those accessories for the Godwins. I'm very excited about his toy line here. I just hope we get some in our hand fairly soon. But they really do look good. They really do translate very well in pictures. And we've talked about that in the past, that sometimes pictures don't do things justice. For whatever reason, his do look really, really good in the pictures. I guess it could go the opposite way. They're not as good in hand. But if they take good pictures, they should be good in hand. So we'll see. But I'm excited about some of those. Really excited about this Godwins with the slop bucket and the pig. I think that's a nice accessory add-on. More to come on that. And then, of course, the Retro Corner. Finishing with old Zombie Sailor. He did announce his first non-wrestler to his line. And he announced this like a year ago. And I am racking my brain. I cannot remember who it was he announced. So I guess we'll have a surprise fairly soon from Zombie Sailor. But it's going to be a non-wrestler. So it'll be interesting to see where that ends up going. It'll be interesting to see how that sells for him as well. So more to come on that. And then Zombie did say Series 2 should be arriving sometime in June. So I'd have to think by the 4th of July, hopefully we have these in hand. You know, the year-out process. But he did say, hey, Series 2 is not arriving alone. He also mentioned Johnny Gargano is going to be about 2 weeks after that if you pre-ordered that one. I wonder if Series 3 is the one he's talking about with Series 2. Will we have Series 3? And we'll get Series 3 really quick. He'll put it up for pre-order. A month later, we have it. Or could it be that 2-pack of Nick Gage, Matt Cardona? Maybe that'll be the one that's traveling with that. He'll be selling open stock on that. That'll be interesting to see. And I know there's an Andre the Giant variant. I'm sure that's coming with that as well. He said he's going to, I think, maybe have that for San Diego Comic-Con or maybe New York Toy Fair. He's going to have those at the ready for when that time comes. So I like what Zombie is doing. He's going to stop that gap. He's going to have things more on demand, more of a major bendy style. And I think that does work. And I think that's the way to go in this day and age where everything is like a 12 to 14 month pre-order, it really feels like. So Much more to come on Zombie Sailor. So there it is. That's the wrestling news of the week. Now we turn our attention to some other things, and you know what Rob Halford always says?
Message from Rob Halford of Judas Priest.
Step on the red, cross on the green, never take a ride in a stranger's machine, and always make sure you're burning on turbo power.
I always got to stick Rob Halford in the mix one way or the other. You guys know how that goes. But let's talk a few other things. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this week. Kino, the long-awaited Kino, apparently he's going to get his first release as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, a little pizza box action, a few different things packed in there. Should be an interesting set. Of course, he will be released at regular retail eventually, so you don't have to buy this big expensive set. You can wait for the regular version. Just depends how big of a Turtle fan I guess you are, how big of a Kino fan you are if you want that. But they did show some of that off this week, so more to come on that, I'm sure. I'm sure there'll be a timed release online around San Diego Comic-Con, just like they've done in years past. So much more to come on that one. We also saw a little preview picture of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the movie, number three. Yes, 3. We're going to Japan. We're samurai style. A lot of people hate this movie. And I remember I watched it once and I've never seen it again. I'm guessing it doesn't hold up. Maybe I will check it out again. But it sounds like we're finally getting figures from those. I know NECA at one time was like, nah. But they've done so much stuff. They got through so many of the properties. I think they're at a time now where, well, maybe we should do those figures. And it seems like that's coming. I would have to imagine those will be totally revealed at San Diego Comic-Con. So I guess we'll stay tuned for all that. We talked about it last week. It was hinted at. It was officially up for sale this week from Super 7. Ultimate Edition Cheetara glow-in-the-dark version. Of course, when Cheetara gets her Nikes on, she gets burning fast, and she's just a blur. We're going to have a nice yellow glow-in-the-dark one there. I think that is a cool figure. Continues on these one-off repaints that Super 7 has been doing as Super 7 store exclusives. An interesting model. I'm definitely picking this up. I'm all in on the Thundercats. Give me the Thundercats. Give me all the Thundercats. So we got Cheetara coming. We also saw Super 7 reaction figures from Dio. You guys know I love some Dio. We saw pretty glamour shot pictures of this week. Man, get me the Ultimate Dio. I need Ultimates Dio. I don't need the reactions. I need the Ultimates. But very, very cool. Of course, on brand. We see so many different heavy metal reaction figures from Super 7. Some of them make their way to Ultimates. Not all of them do. Hopefully it does sooner rather than later. But we still got to get our more Ghost figures, our Lemmy figures. Show No Mercy, the Slayer kind of mascot, Minotaur from the album. I did see that got pushed back into 2024, so that's going to be one of those ones that's maybe a year and a half wait by the time things are all said and done. Speaking of waiting, still waiting on GI Joe Super 7 Ultimate Series 2. Man, I need that Flint. I needed Flint for the Memorial Day holiday. Unfortunately, they have still not shipped from Big Bad Toy Store or to Entertainment Earth. That's where I ordered them from. So they're on the clock. I hope we get them, but some that ordered from the Super 7 store have received those in hand, but hopefully this week I finally get my Flint. Oh, I'm so excited. Get me the Flint. But Super 7's not done with the G.I. Joe stuff. Friday, they did announce some G.I. Joe reaction figures. It looks like, and I guess they didn't say reaction, but I'm going to assume reaction. Super 7 reaction figures of Python Patrol look to be coming. So, man, I remember when I started that line when it first came out, I said, I'm going to be a completionist. I'm going to be an on-card completionist. Then they did do the G.I. Joe green shirts with like 9 different variations. I said, I'm out. I can't do it anymore. I made the right decision because at about $20 a pop in hundreds and hundreds of figures they're releasing. First off, I don't have the money. I don't have the room. So it's something I have to admire from afar. I really do like what they're doing there. And it looks like they're going to go on to Python Patrol. Very easy repaints for them to do. I would assume Tiger Force and all the others will be there eventually. Very cool idea, but a tough one to be a completionist on. A tough one to get really invested in, at least from where I sit. And as you guys know, right here at this very table. So we got that going on. We also saw, speaking of G.I. Joe kind of universe, Action Force, the old Valaverse, of course, on the back of the package, very old school style, they have points. You know, 1 Valaverse point, 2 Action Force points, whatever it may be. Well, they did show this week that there is a figure coming. You will be able to redeem your points for this figure. And they want to say it's like a $14.99 figure, and then you have to have X amount of points. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I have all my boxes saved. I guess I'm going to put the kids to work. School's almost done. Next week's the last week of school for my kids. Shout out to my daughter, Elle, all A+. Every single class this year, she got A+. She did not get that genius from me. I never sniffed an A when I was her age. So all A+, shout out to Elle there. But Elle, in celebration for that, I am going to let her cut up all the boxes and cut all the points off for me. So shout out to Elle out there for all A+. But Action Force, to be able to send those points in old school style, I'm here for that. And then Sid Haig, I guess totally turn and segue here. Sid Haig, hopefully you guys know who that is. Of course you guys know. I am not a big movie guy, but I love the worst movies ever. I love the grindhouse movies, the exploitation movies. I love all the dingy, dark movies. I love the horror movies, things like that. If you don't know Sid Haig, he's been in some mainstream movies. Of course, Devil's Rejects, House of 1,000 Corpses, probably his biggest starring roles, but he was in tons of other movies in the 70s, things like that. And he did announce on his website, now Sid passed away many years ago, but whoever runs his website said there's going to be a memorial figure to him this year. So I'm anxious to see what that's going to be all about. I love Sid, one of the greatest actors ever, just an intimidating force on the screen, and one of those faces that you've seen in a million movies, you just didn't know who he is for most people, but absolutely love that. So I'll be all in on a Sid Haig figure, depending what that one is. So more to come as we get it. We do know NECA has some House of 1,000 Corpses figures right around the corner with Sid as Captain Spaulding, of course. Marvel Legends this week came in with a few other things. They came in with the Amazon exclusive West Coast Avengers pack, releasing, I want to say it was in October. Every year they kind of have these box sets for the holidays. It looks like the West Coast Avengers is coming our way. A very cool pack. As usual, we get a lot of reuse, not a ton of accessories, but a way to really fill out some of these teams. And I did post it on social media. If you're looking at getting this pack, you better head over to Entertainment Earth right now. White Vision is on clearance in their outlet deals. $15, use discount code Kyle, save another 10% on top of that. But I do think that all white Vision figure will start going up in price because people are going to want that with that set to really fill out that team. So little pro tip out there, got to get a deal, as you guys and gals all know. But we do have that coming. They also announced another 2-pack of the Squadron Supreme with Blur and Nighthawk. Once again, I am not super familiar with these guys. This is kind of Marvel's answer to DC's Justice League from back in the day. And I guess we're not done with these figures. We're going to complete this team fairly soon. So, man, I'm here for that. Definitely a cool looking set. I really enjoyed the last one a lot more than I thought I would. So I think this one will fit that kind of same board there. So very, very cool. And then right as I'm finishing filming here, Hasbro did have a little GI Joe interception. It seems like every Friday they've kind of had one of these posts out there. And they did announce that, well, they didn't announce anything, really. They kind of gave some more clues to the next G.I. Joe HasLab. We know right around the corner from the His Take coming, they gave some clues. The number 24 seems to be in a lot of this stuff. I'm hoping for the Havoc myself or the Awe Striker, but I don't think it's going to be those. A lot of people now turning their attention towards the Dragonfly. Now, there was some leaks maybe 8 months ago that Hasbro was working on a Dragonfly, so I don't know if that's going to end up coming to fruition or not, but that could be, and it does kind of make sense. You get a tank, something for the ground on the first one. Let's get something in the air for the second one. Maybe we'll get something for the sea in the third one, so we'll see what happens there, but we'll follow it. Of course, G.I. Joe June is right around the corner. G.I. Joe June, of course, Kyle's birthday month. It makes all the sense. It just goes together, but very excited for this when they do announce it. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of pre-orders, maybe some releases. Should be a very good month for G.I. Joe fans the month of June, and we're going to stay tuned to it throughout the month of June on this very YouTube channel. That looks like it for news. Looking at everything here, a lot going on, as usual, for a Memorial Day weekend. But we do got a few other things. Of course, Album of the Week. You got to end with the Album of the Week. And the Album of the Week this week, first we'll do a little shout out to Tina Turner. Very funny, we talked about Tina Turner last week, and then this week she passes away. I don't think there's a correlation. I don't think I'm the angel of death, but I did tell the story about how when I was a kid, for whatever reason, if I was in the car and Tina Turner's music came on, and she was on all the time in the 80s, I would start throwing up. I don't know what the deal was, but there was something about her voice that tuned something in my head and made me puke. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but I wanted to give a shout out to Tina Turner and all the times puking in the back of the car as a little kid. But the real album of the week for me this week is Underground Metal Royalty. One of the leaders of that passed away, unfortunately, and not a lot of people are going to be talking about it, of course. They should be, but they're not. I know how it goes, but the band is Tank. The lead singer, the leader of Tank, is Algie Ward. Algie passed away after a long illness that was really secret and stuff. And really one of the forefathers of the new wave of British heavy metal and kind of the changing of what heavy metal really was. Part of the underground music scene with Tank. He fell in love with the Stormtrooper is probably their most famous song. But the album of the week this week is going to be their classic, Filth Hounds of Hades. You guys have seen me wear the shirts many a times on the channel. A lot of people don't know what it is. Say, what is that shirt from? come, and I always say, oh, it's the band Tank. You got to check it out. If you like Motorhead from way back in the day, very Motorhead-like sound, Tank and Motorhead toured together a lot over the years. Tank, just one of those bands that's long forgotten, and a few years they'll probably forget totally about him. It's just sad. And there's some people that keep the music alive, but it's not going to be like the Beatles or Phil Collins, who we talked about last week. Those things are going to last forever. The people that knew about Tank, that knew about the really dirty side of the new wave of British heavy metal, that stuff's going to be fading as people pass away. So it is kind of sad out there, but definitely check out the Filth Hounds of Hades. If you've never heard it, give it a listen. That is the album of the week for this Memorial Day weekend of the toy news. So there it is, a lot going on as usual. What interested you? What do you think about the news? What are you excited for? What are you picking up? What are you passing on? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, you made it this far, you might as well like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're dangerously close to 30,000 subscribers. When we get there, we got another giveaway, so make sure you do that. Don't forget to like this video. Always helps when you give it the old thumbs up like a young hacksaw Jim Duggan. And don't forget about the Patreon channel. Early access to all these videos, bonus content, exclusive content, giveaways, Q&As, pizza reviews, dog stuff. You name it, there's a lot going on in the old Patreon channel every single day. And best of all, you do support the channel. You can also support the channel over at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget social media, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for the toy news of the week, I am Kyle, and I'm strutting and strolling, rock and rolling into a Memorial Day weekend.